Today we have new information unveiled on the game, and we have a new collaboration right after the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ended, and in this case very similar to the one we had with Skeletor and He-Man, so let's have a look at it. Hi, Senda here and welcome to another raid video. In this video I'm gonna be covering slightly over this collaboration and I'm gonna go straight to the grain, straight to the sauce to find out if the new battle pass for the new champion, the Predator, it's worth, if the champion is worth, what is he able to do, how powerful is his damage and so on. And for that I'm on the test server. I haven't spent anything on this guy yet because I want to first get some conclusions, make sure the champion is worth before putting any money, and that's why I make the video, to help you decide the same exact thing. So like I said, I don't have the champion other than on the test server and because Plarium has put both of us, and we have several things that I want to go over first because it's a pretty particular champion and also it's done in the same exact way as we had with Skeletor and He-Man. We had one champion that was completely for free just from logging in. We could get, where is he? He's not here. He's for some reason is on the Dark Elves. I don't know why is he on the Dark Elves, because he doesn't have elven ears. I mean, you tell me, how are Savia and him similar? I mean, I think he would be fitting much more in the demon spawn. He looks much more like a demon than like an elf, but for some reason he's on the Dark Elves. Maybe because of the insect look, and the Dark Elves go slightly on those lines with Aphidus, you know, Dark Elves, insects. Maybe they saw some similarity in that sense. So we had Xenomorph, sorry. He's going to be able to be obtained just by logging in, the same way as Skeletor was in his day. However, Skeletor was pretty useless. I mean, I think I have in level 50, put him in the vault, not using it for anything. It was free at least, him and the 5 stars, so we're yet to see how powerful is this Xenomorph. And we also had very similar as He-Man. He was obtainable in several ways. So one was just you go on this battle pass, you purchase the battle pass, you complete all the missions that were very easy. I mean, I think you have 3 months. This collaboration is going to be running until the end of February 2026, and I think in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you were able to get He-Man. So all the rest of the time was just extra time. You can have plenty of time to decide if you want to purchase the Predator or not. And like I said, it was the same exact way. You have a battle pass, you can just purchase it, you can pay even more money and get the champion right off the bat, straight away. And I'm talking about this Predator, I don't know what's the name. In this case, Predator, it's a HP based nuker. You'll have the guide on the Xenomorph in a couple of days or tomorrow. I'm not sure, whenever I have time to film it. There's no rush because we're all gonna get the champion, but this is more interesting because people want to know exactly is worth putting the money on the table or not. First of all, we start by saying that he's an HP damage dealer, HP based damage dealer, which means that unless he has some sort of a special synergy on his kit, not all of them are especially powerful. They need to have something that makes them really special. However, it's worth to know that he has a pretty high base HP, 25,000 is pretty high. I would say in the top, I don't know, 5, 10 champions with a higher HP base of the game. Defense, I mean, not super high, but decent. And speed is pretty average, and crit damage, of course, he's a damage dealer, you're gonna have 63, and this is pretty much the champion itself. Then we have 3 skills and a passive and an aura. The aura, you can imagine, HP based champion, so it's gonna be an HP in arena for 35%. On the A1, very simple, attacks one enemy, heals this champion by 30% of the damage dealt, so basically we hit and we heal ourselves, and whenever this champion successfully evades an enemy skill and all of its accompanying effects, counterattacks with this skill. This will see it happening every now and then. It's an extra free hit, but like I said, it's an HP based damage dealer. Normally they don't hit by too much. On the A2, this is kind of the sauce, this is kind of the powerful skill. We're going to be seeing a lot more damage. It works pretty strange, and strange, I mean, they made it very complicated for no reason. Basically attacks all enemies 2 times. After hitting the initial selected enemy, all other enemies will be hit at random order, so this works exactly the same as Thor. Also, we select the initial target and then all the rest of the enemies, however damage jumps from one to another, is random. For the first hit, the damage received by the initially selected enemy will be increased by 75%, which means the enemy we target when we use this skill on this first hit is going to be receiving a lot more damage. 75% increased damage is quite a lot, so this first hit is going to be interesting. Each subsequent enemy hit following the initial hit will receive a 15% less bonus damage, reduces to 15% bonus damage. So basically, the first hit is going to be 75, the second one is going to be 60, then it's going to be 45, then it's going to be 30, and then it's going to be 15. So up to a maximum of 5 enemies before we go to the minimum 15%. Also destroys each enemy's max HP by 30% of the damage dealt and stacks up to 50%. Not bad, good to have it, but not game breaking. For the second hit, the damage received by the initially selected target, this works kind of the opposite. So the first enemy we hit is going to be 15%, and the second enemy is going to be 30, second one is going to be 30, the third one is going to be 45, the fourth one is going to be 60, and the fifth one is going to be 75. So it works the opposite. The first target that we choose is going to receive a very big first hit but a very weak last hit, and the other rest of the champions is going to be a bit of a random order. This attack ignores 50% of target's defense if this champion is under a Veil or Perfect Veil, so in order to deal even more damage, it needs to be under Veil. The A1 doesn't place Veil, the second one doesn't place Veil, the A3 does. No, the A3 doesn't place Veil either, the passive does. On the A3, this is kind of his second iconic skill, his second signature move. Attacks one enemy before attacking, places Hunter's Gaze debuff for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be resisted if this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil, which is pretty helpful because it means we don't need any accuracy. However, he needs to be under Veil. If this attack kills an enemy, places a block revive on the target and a Hunter's Gaze on a Hunter's Gaze debuff on a random alive enemy for 1 turn. The Hunter Gaze cannot be resisted if this champion is under Veil, and if this attack does not kill an enemy, places Perfect Veil on this champion and fills the turn meter by 50%. This Hunter's Gaze so far is one debuff that only the Chimera was able to place on ourselves, and we couldn't do anything about it. I don't think we could remove it, it was kind of protected and we had to deal with it. And what it does, and it's pretty interesting, especially for a champion that is, I would say, mostly focused on Arena, is over here, Hunter's Gaze. The damage dealt to a champion under the Hunter's Gaze debuff cannot be decreased, blocked, redirected, or transferred. This is interesting, but it's not game breaking. This applies only to damage dealt by skills, not from debuffs, passives, masteries, blah blah. Damage dealt to champions under Hunter's Gaze debuff will ignore unkillable, block damage, increase defense, strengthen, ally protection, Veil, Perfect Veil, and shield debuffs. Champions can still evade the damage while under the Hunter's Gaze debuff. This means that if we place Hunter's Gaze on an enemy, and that enemy places an unkillable or a block damage or something like that, we can ignore, to say it in a different way, any of these protective debuffs, strengthen, ally protection. If an enemy has Hunter Gaze, pretty much there is no way he can reduce the damage or save his life because he's kind of doomed. If he's under this, no protective buff is going to protect him from dying. However, he can evade that damage like any other synergy, but he won't be affected by these things. It's like he wouldn't have them. So it's pretty interesting, especially if we want to target one specific enemy and we want to get rid of him. That can be quite interesting. Again, I'm not sure yet of the multipliers of this guy, but normally HP base are not mind-blowing. As a passive, we have that at the start of each round, not turn, which is, I think, is a negative thing for him because he does rely a lot in having Perfect Veil on. He places a Perfect Veil on this champion for 1 turn. Before this champion takes a turn, also an initial 15% chance to evade, and this initial chance reduces to 0% after this champion's first turn in a round, which means that the first hit is not gonna have a 50-50 chance of not being hit before he has a turn. This is similar to having, let's say, a stone skin. We put stone skin on champions that we want to guarantee that at least they're gonna have a turn. We want them to survive at least one turn to be able to go and kill the enemies, doing some sort of game breaking thing. So we need them to be alive and to at least have a turn. This is gonna help towards that, because we're only gonna have a 50%, which is a bit unfortunate, and also it's gonna place him a perfect veil, which has synergies with the rest of the skills, but we're gonna see a bit more how this actually interacts round after round and in different game modes, because it can be interesting up to some point. First of all, in terms of damage, I'm gonna show you how I have him, the masteries I got, which are, I'll show them in a second. So basically he's a damage dealer, HP based damage dealer. So these are the sets and the stats. Has a pretty hefty HP, 124,000 is pretty nice. However, it's easy to achieve this number considering we have 25,000 base HP, so it's pretty easy to scale off by a lot. Defense, we don't care. Attack, we don't care. Speed is okay. 100% crit damage, crit rate, sorry, because it's important to be able to crit. However, this number is quite low, and it's much lower than I would like because I don't have a single stone skin amulet, this kind of a necklace with crit damage as a main stat. I have a triple crit damage here, so it was the best I could get, but it doesn't have crit damage as a main. I'm losing a bit, I mean maybe I'm losing, I don't know, 15-20% more crit damage, but it would be nice to have it because right now I have way too much HP for such little crit damage. Also note that I don't have it fully ascended, this is just out of the box without any red stars, so keep that in mind if you see other videos of people that put money and so on. This is raw, straight out of the box. The only thing I've done is putting him a set. In this case, I put double set. One is lethal because we want to ignore enemy defense, we want to deal as much damage as possible, and on the other hand, stone skin to help me have that one first turn. Other than that, yeah, here we can see crit damage, HP, speed and speed. We can see the masteries over here, basic damage dealer. What we're looking for is ignore defense, and on this side we don't care about accuracy, we're just looking for extra HP because he scales of his HP. In terms of relics, because he's quite dependent of having Veil, there's one relic that could work pretty good for him, which is the Saint Xavier's Tribute. The wearer has a 15% chance of placing Veil at the end of their turn, so it's going to be easy to help him evade, to help him be ready for the next turn and so on. But since he's a damage dealer, he's also going to benefit from any other damage dealer. For example, Hatter's Reserve, if he has a lot of HP, can help. Covetous Passion can help. There's a lot of these basic Malefic Talon can help, Storm Caller can help. I mean, there's a lot of different Gore Crescent can help. There's a lot of different relics that will help him increase his damage. But enough talking, let's go and first do the damage test, see how he does. His Force Affinity, so we could try it on the 22 or on the 23. I always try it on the 23, basically because it's Void Affinity, so it's easier to compare all the champions. The problem with HP based champions is that there's no buff that we can use to increase his damage. So attack based champions, we have increased attack. Defense based champions, we have increased defense. In this case, I mean, we could only put an aura, but this aura is only for arena, which is clearly intended to be used on arena. But never mind, let's go straight away and see the damage he's able to put. Like I said, I don't know the multipliers yet. Here we can see he starts the round with the Veil, which is going to be pretty helpful. So let's start straight out of the box with the A2. This A2 will be ignoring 15% of the target's defense on top of the 25% he's doing, on top of any possible mastery activation that we get. On the first hit, the enemy we select is going to receive a 75% of extra damage, and the second hit is going to be way less powerful because of the synergy that he has. So it's kind of similar to Thor, but two hits, one does the same thing as Thor, the second one does the opposite thing as Thor. However, Thor is easier to scale because it's attack base, he has very good multipliers, we can bust his damage, he's able to apply increased crit damage on himself, increase attack and all the shenanigans. So, A2, let's target, for example, this champion that's on the far right, no, the one that's on the far left. Let's see if I can change the camera so we can see it a bit more clearly. The double hitter, and see the difference between the first hit and the second hit. So the first one was 210 and the second one was 108,000. So there is quite a difference between one and the other. In general, the damages go between 120 to 200, something like that. It's not crazy, it's okay, it's decent, but it's not gonna be mind-blowing, especially considering that all these enemies have decreased defense and weaken. We're not always gonna have these 2 debuffs, but just keep it in mind. On the A1, let's hit it just raw, straight as it is. No decreased defense, no weaken, nothing, just A1. And you can see 59,000 is okay. I mean, the tests I've done from other champions, attack base, defense base, were more than that. Again, A1, 47 is not mind-blowing, it's an okay hit with the A1. We are able to heal ourselves, but it's not gonna one-shot anyone, it's not gonna be mind-blowing. Probably in arena either, it's gonna be just an okay hit that is gonna allow us to have some sustain. Let's try the A3. We haven't seen this one yet. We talk a bit about it how it works, but we haven't seen it in action. Basically, we don't have Veil right now, which is unfortunate. We don't have any other way because the round has already started, so we lost the chance to placing Perfect Veil. So our only chance to get Veil is if this skill does not kill an enemy. Let's see the damage. I'm not sure which one is the strongest of these. Probably Renegade, but has 4 debuffs. My Lydia is with not a Feral set, I think it's called, the one that deals 5% more damage based on the amount of debuffs. So in this case, we'll be doing 20% extra damage to this Renegade. Let's attack this guy, for example, see if he revives, and if not, we're going to be able to see the multiplier, the damage of the A3. We'll place Hunter's Gaze, which is great, and 239,000. It's not bad, but it's not mind-blowing. We didn't just nuke him. However, because he survived, we were able to get Veil, and because we have this Veil, we're going to be able to ignore 15% damage. So 130 and 2 and something, 240 I think I saw on the first hit. Let's run this full auto so we can see a bit more the interaction. A1, he has Veil, now he shows A3. The bosses are immune to this Hunter's Gaze, which is also again unfortunate. I'm not sure if it says how they already updated on the description, but normally, yeah, they've added it in Snare, Fatigue, and Hunter's Gaze, so it's a debuff that is pretty useless against bosses. Again, against bosses, the first hit 232, the second one 144, counterattacks for 119, counterattacks again for 200, so probably the Mastery proc there. But you can see that against bosses, he doesn't have any particular synergy other than getting an extra fee 50% turn meter, because it's not going to kill the enemy with one shot. His damage is okay. I mean, I've seen much more powerful champions and with much more better synergies for bosses at least. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is okay, but it's not mind-blowing. The attacks are interesting, but the damage is not going to be super crazy. There you go, it's able to do it, of course, no big deal, it's not a very complicated dungeon, but basically in terms of damage, it's better than certain HP based damage dealers, but it's not gonna be anything that, oh my god, this champion is amazing. I mean, if we compare it in terms of damage, I think He-Man was way more powerful. Not just because he's only attack, and we know that attack-based champions hit harder generally, but his I3, the multiplier of this skill, and the chance to increase up to a 500% is insane. The A2 was pretty powerful, and the fact that we'll ignore Stone Skin was very, very interesting. And the A1 had a lot of damage as well, had a very high multiplier. So I think He-Man in that sense was better, at least had more potential for arena, I think. Let's try him on arena. I mean, he's not going to be a boss specialist. He doesn't do anything specifically good for any boss. All bosses are immune to his Hunter Gaze. The A2 is just a double hitter. Unless there's a lot of minions, maybe on Spider, we could be doing a double hitter. Let's get rid of these two. Let's put just Valkyrie, for example, and then let's put this guy. Basically, I want to see how much is the damage hitting AoE on the A2. So we go here, start. I mean, if I do it great, if I don't do it great as well, I just want to see the amount of damage when we're hitting a lot of different enemies. I don't have any hex debuff here or anything. Let's play some powerful shields, and he's pretty slow, so but for me as well. Let's speed this up. Okay, now it's his turn, and they start dropping spiders. Let's attack the first spider, the main one. Double hitter. You can see we can more or less get rid of some of them. If they would have reduced defense and weaken, we probably more likely would be able to do it. I don't know, maybe with a tankier team, something that will boost his turn meter. We kill the spider. Block revive doesn't really do anything in the dungeon because another one will spawn. We need to have the A2 ready ASAP. Did we put any Hunter's Gaze in any other spider when we kill it? I don't think so. See if we have the A2 ready. Maybe with the Kaimar would have been also interesting to restart. Oh, there you go. Perfect. So let's kill all the small spiders. 240, 220, 140, so a bit of a different amount of damage. But that's the thing, like nowadays a champion, yeah, he's good doing the spider. Okay, great. Spider is not even the good dungeon because all the jewelry, all these things that we're going to be farming here is literally gold. We have much better options for jewelry that we get in Hydra, that we get in Clash vs Clan, Clan vs Clan, that we get on Siege, that we get on Chimera, no, in Hydra. I mean, there's so many other options in Curse City. I mean, there's a lot of other options way better than just farming the regular spider. And for Arena, let's do a quick refresh. Let's try, for example, an easy team so we can see it a bit more in action. Let's try this. That's quite tanky. I'm just interested here. Lilith goes here in order to place Veil. Arbiter goes here in order to have my champions to have more turns. And UDK is basically here to tank damage. So let's have a look at the damage. For example, this is another problem that I've seen. He's able to place Hunter's Gaze. This Hunter's Gaze right now have Veil, so technically this cannot be resisted. However, if the enemy goes before us and they're able to apply block debuffs, that's it, we're fucked. We cannot do anything because the A3 completely useless. We are not going to be able to apply Hunter's Gaze, nor block revive, nothing. So the A3 completely wasted because the enemy plays perfect veil. Not perfect veil, block debuffs. And there's a lot of enemies, there's a lot of champions, especially on Arena, that are able to place this. I mean, my Lilith does it, Sifis do it, it's very, very common. Having enemies with now increased attack, block debuffs, in this case, they have shields also, so a lot of these things would be ignored if the enemy would have Hunter's Gaze. But because they placed block debuffs before I was able to place Hunter's Gaze, means the A3 is completely useless. The multiplier is not amazing, and the effects are going to be useless because we're not able to apply the debuff. In terms of damage, let's see, is it going to be enough? Let's target, for example, the strongest champion, or the one that is going to be sucking up more damage, which in this case is this Ursuga. Let's see the amount of damage we're dealing, but 26, 19, like I said, HP based champions, generally they don't hit hard. Unless they have some very crazy synergies, like certain guy with a mustache, that it lives in the Bannerlords faction, something like that, they deal by crazy stupid amounts of damage, but this Predator is not it. He doesn't hit by that much. Now, can be interesting the A3, because, for example, on these Rotos, he already had a couple of extra turns. He's below 50%, so his passive is not going to proc. And we're able to place Hunter's Gaze and block revive. The damage 70,000 is okay, it's nice because it's a lot of damage, but it's not the most mind-blowing because he's a very weak champion in terms of HP and diff. Now all the main threat is gone. I mean, not that he ever was, but the main threat is gone. And we just have to slowly tear them down. A1, for example, 22,000, an enemy with weaken is nothing. I mean, yeah, part of the damage went to Ursuga, but still, like, we don't do anything special. We don't pierce through, and we could also, we didn't see who this second Hunter's Gaze after killing Rotos went to. I mean, maybe it went to some other champion and straight away, next turn, they lost it. and now we don't need it for anything. Now E2, 22, 50 something. I mean, the damage is enough to kill stuff, yeah, but it's not gonna be something insane, I don't think. Let's try last team just to test. For example, this one from Palo. We have this guy, same as before. Let's put someone that can control them. For example, the Fabian, like this. Let's see. Because again, the enemies now are gonna have stone skin, the enemies might have veil. I don't know, it's a bit tricky because despite he's not able to ignore stone skin, like I said. Can we get rid of Marius, for example? That is a big threat, or it's probably a dangerous champion. We target him, Hunter's Gaze, one hit, 57. Like 57,000 is not too much damage. The block revive is obviously nice, but you can see he goes down very easy. There's no way to mitigate damage or do anything special. And after this, what do we do? There is certain synergy here, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think he does anything special to be able to I don't know, doesn't fully cut it to me. Look at this guy. This is HP based nuker as well. HP damage dealer, and he does hit by a lot. Why? Because he has certain synergy that if the enemy has less accuracy than you, yada yada yada. In this case, he's a pretty decent and he's a free champion. So if we have another HP based champion like Embrace, which is really, really powerful, why would I spend money on an HP based damage dealer like this Predator that doesn't do anything special than other champion that I already have and that is free, like Embrace in this case? I don't know, let me know in the comments what do you think. To me, I mean, keep in mind that there's gonna be events, also the same as it was with He-Man. You have 3 months if you wanna purchase this pass, but also I'm pretty sure there's gonna be events like times 10, times 15, this kind of other events that they put very often in the game, that they did put also with He-Man, and that they're also gonna give you a chance to pull this champion. So that said, and after we've seen it, let me know in the comments what you think, if you're gonna go for him or not. Thanks a lot for watching the video. I'll leave a recommended one over there, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.